Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to our June meeting of the Tobacco Settlement Agreement Oversight Committee, and we will begin with our last representative, McPherson, if he will lead us in a prayer and the pledge, please. Oh, can you turn on your mic, please?
Yeah. So I'd like to make an announcement that. Well, I'll get my chair back up for a minute. I'll just stand. So Al Pettigo, y'all know Al, everybody on the board here. So Al got put in the hospital yesterday for, he's got pneumonia, and they need to give him some fluids and everything, so I'll mention him in my prayers. So bear with me if you will. Father, we thank you for this day and all its many wonderful blessings. Thank you for allowing us to come together and to do the state's business. Father, we'd ask that you would give us wisdom as we make decisions and oversight of this committee. Father, we thank you for agriculture and all that it does for the state, all that it does for our nation. Father, we feed the world. Help us to do it in a more efficient way each and every day. Father, we realize that there's a lot of mental unrest with people that struggle and have a hard time making ends meet sometime in agriculture. Help us to be very aware of that. Help us to do all that we can to ease those burdens. Father, we'd ask that you would be with Brother Al as we just mentioned him today, as we know that he's in the hospital. To ask that you would have him to have a speedy recovery. Father, we'd ask that you'd go with us through the further portions of this meeting. Guard, guide, and protect us. These things we ask in your Son, Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Ask everyone to stand. Representative McPherson will lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Senator Rocky Adams, Senator Boswell, Senator Deneen, Senator Harper Angel, Senator Webb, Representative Brown, Representative King,
Present.
Representative McPherson,
Present.
Representative Pratt, Representative Rorks,
Here.
Co-Chair Mays Bledsoe, and Co-Chair Dossett.
Present. We will wait a few minutes here on approval of our minutes. We're short one to have a quorum. So as we have another member arrive, we will move to that. But with that being said, I'll ask our guest, Executive Director Brandon Reed, to begin his presentation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I mean, you know, if you need a stand-in for quorum, I mean, we can, whatever y'all need to do. So it's such a blessing to be here today. We truly appreciate what you all do for the Commonwealth every single day as legislators. I know the trials and tribulations that you all go through, and I know session's over and you had a little break in May and interim starting back up in June. I know you're all getting excited and getting everything going for your all's interim meeting. So thank you all for working hard for your districts and the citizens of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We truly appreciate it.
Brandon,
And
before you begin,
go
I
ahead.
want to let the members know that we do, some of our materials may not be in your packet right there. They have been uploaded online, so you are able to view those online. Excuse me, Brandon, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Thanks, Chairman. So we'll go ahead and jump into our report. So this is our report for the month of May 2024. And as always, we can, Commissioner of Agriculture Jonathan Shell sends his greetings. And he's been very busy and just loves agriculture and always says agriculture is economic development, and has proven that with every decision that we make every day. And the resources that you all have given us as part of the General Assembly, we try to execute that to the best of our ability. So we truly appreciate you all. I just want to give a quick update on what Commissioner Shell, some of the things that he's done in the month of May. So it was a busy month, but just a few highlights. So May 4th, of course, he attended the 150th running the Kentucky Derby. May 6th, he declared May as Kentucky Beef Month, Department Cookout, to celebrate the proclamation signing. So we had the whole Kentucky Department of Agriculture to Frankfort, and it was a good occasion just to see everyone and have a good celebration for celebrating Beef Month in Kentucky. May 9th, Commissioner Shell and Deputy Commissioner Warren Beeler participated in Celebrity Chefs, representing the Department of Agriculture for Hinton Mills' annual Beef Month promotion with the Kentucky Cattlemen's Association and the Kentucky Beef Council. May 13th through 15th, Commissioner Shell traveled to Arkansas to meet with members of Tyson headquarters and went over several tours. As you all know, in the business that we also do, we have a lot of farmers throughout Kentucky that have contracts with Tyson, so he went to make sure to have conversations with them, make sure everything's still running smoothly, and just tried to be the best representative he could for the Commonwealth of Kentucky with that company. He did really well and had really good conversations coming from that. May 18th, Commissioner Shell attended and presented the awards at the Ag Poster and Essay Contest ceremony. This contest celebrates agriculture and attracts students from grades K through 12 who can compete for the recognition. And then Commissioner Shell attended several FFA banquets throughout the month of May as the FFA chapters were finishing up their year. There's a lot of FFA banquets that we all went to representing the Department of Agriculture. And, of course, next month you'll hear an update about his speech at the State FFA Convention that was last week. And then to finish this up, May 29th and 30th, he toured Purdue Chicken Plant. Purdue's another company that we work with closely in Kentucky, and we have farmers that participate with their contracts as well. Later, he traveled to Springfield, Illinois, and met with Marquee Energy with them. So that's just a quick update of some of the activities that Commissioner Shell has had in the month of May. Go ahead. And as always, we have some members of our staff that is here with us today, and they're just a blessing. They're always willing to help and answer any questions you all have. They travel all 120 counties all the time. The activity is unparalleled, second to none that I know across the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Their passion and energy is also second to none. I truly appreciate you all and what you all bring to the table and what you all sacrifice every day to move agriculture forward. With that, I'm proud to announce that we have some interns that started with us. And so I'm going to give them the opportunity, Mr. Chairman, if it's okay with you. They're going to come up one at a time, give a brief 30-second who they are, where they're from, what they're doing. But we are extremely proud. Now, these are the interns. We have one more, Caroline Groff. She's not with us here today. She is actually studying. She just got through being state FFA president. She started Monday with us, and she's undergoing some interview application process. I think she's going to be running for a national FFA office, so she's doing that today. But she'll be back next month in front of you all. But I do have 3. Now, overall, we have about, I think, 12 or 13 interns, Department of Agriculture.
Yeah, working for the Department of Agriculture. Yes, sir.
So, but these are the individuals that are working directly with the Kentucky Office of Ag Policy. So, guys, if y'all can come up one at a time. There you go. Come on up. Right here? Yep, that's right. Okay. Have a seat. We'll turn this mic on. Just introduce yourself.
Welcome, introduce yourself, and go right ahead.
Hi. Is this on? Okay.
Yeah, it's on.
Hi, I'm Carissa Hamilton. I'm from a very small town, Flat Rock, Indiana. I will be a junior at the University of Kentucky. As well, I'm also on the softball team at UK as well. I'm studying agricultural economics along with market management. And I am pleased to work with Bill and everybody for the KOAP.
See, that wasn't hard. now we got to take a selfie. There we go. All right, next.
Thank you.
You did a good job. Come on up. You
Hi, my name is this word?
Yep.
Okay. My name is Angelina Sanoki. I'm from Washington State, and I'm also a junior at UK in the fall. I study equine science and management with a minor in ag econ, and I'm also grateful to have this opportunity, and lots has been learned in just a month. So
good
thank
job.
you.
Hey, all right.
Thank you.
All right. Last but not least, Wade. There you go. How close do I get? You're good.
Hi, my name's Wade Carrington. I recently just finished classes at UK this past semester to get my degree in agricultural economics. I'm originally from Clark County, Kentucky, so not too far down the road, and it's been a joy to be here so far.
All right.
And I think he needs this intern to get enough credits to graduate. So
Yeah,
This finishes up his.
Yeah, I have to have the internship along with the classes to get my degree. So I technically don't have it yet.
Well, I hope you pass, Wade.
All right.
I want to welcome you for being there working. This is an excellent opportunity for young people. Agriculture has such a bright future, and I have a 12-year-old at home that I'm encouraging her for this to be the path that she follows. She loves equine. She loves horses. And I want to welcome you. You're working for some fine people here, and for anyone there working in the Department of Agriculture as interns, it's an excellent opportunity with a bright future.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing us to do that. They've been working hard. Been here since the first of the month, and just truly putting everything 110% of their efforts. What they've been doing actually is they're heavily responsible for going out and doing the interviews of our projects, and they help our office put together that annual report that you all will have this fall. So they do a lot of work behind the scenes getting that annual report together. So they did a wonderful job. Good job, guys. So as we move on, in the month of May, Kentucky Agriculture Development Board invested $5.8 million into the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and the Kentucky Agriculture Finance Corporation invested $4.8 million into the Commonwealth of Kentucky to move agriculture forward. Some of the highlights of May, one, we had another CAPE administrator training held in Richmond. As I reported last month, we've been going all over the Commonwealth from Hopkinsville to Pikeville doing these trainings, and we had some virtual trainings also, and we got another virtual training coming up, and that should finish us up for the year. We visited 21 county agriculture development councils meetings across the Commonwealth in May. We had 7 staff that attended what we call the SEALS conference down in Greenville, South Carolina. It's kind of an agricultural loan program training course, and we had 7 staff that went and participated in that. We're seeing a lot, even our agriculture development board, they're kind of looking at loans. And so even our project managers are having to look at the loan management process. So we sent them down there to learn more about that, and they've done really well. And then, of course, we introduced our interns. All right. So just kind of an overlook and a breakdown. There you have the breakdown in front of you of all the programs and projects that we have. And that is in your packet. You also received the full packet. And as we move forward, we're going into what we kind of started last month. This is the month where we actually get to start that a little bit and go into Bill and Brandon's top picks. And so this is just to kind of, you all have the packets in front of you. You all see what we're doing every month, and we went over those, so you have that available. But what we're going to do every month, just to try to save some time for you all, is we're going to pick 2 or 3 or 4 major projects from the last month and go over that process and kind of give a highlight of that. I thought about changing my name to Ted and be Bill and Ted's top great adventures, top picks, or whatever. But so as we move forward, I'm gonna hand it over to Bill, and he's gonna go over Bill's top picks.
All right. Thank you, Brandon. And I want to also welcome Representative McPherson. I think we first met probably 20 years ago at the Allen County Agriculture Development Council. So I'm not sure if you've taken a step up or down here in your current position, but great to be working with you again, Representative McPherson. So we want to start with going by chronological order, page 18 in your documentation with the Southern Kentucky Floral Exchange. So this is a applicant is requesting $11,000 in multi-county funds, or half the cost of a project to establish or build a 10 by 12 floral cooler and help with the processing and distribution of fresh cut flowers. Now, Mr. Hunt is going to talk about the $750 million in ag development funds Representative Dawson has been invested, but the common denominator on all those projects being successful is the leadership. The leadership you have here are two sisters. It's Emily Hunt and Jennifer Sperling, who have experience in the horticulture production and communication, and they came up with this idea to expand their operation. They came from a farm operation in Butler County, Morgantown, a dairy operation, raised tobacco, so very diversified operation, and so they've decided to diversify out of those traditional agriculture commodities and have established. They started last year, and a lot of interest with working with 25 different farms in 17 counties. So they're working with organizations that do the distribution, and they're able to go to an online sales platform. They call it Rooted Farmers by the Florist. So they can go online, select the types of flowers they want, and then this organization, working with the different fresh cut flower producers, can then aggregate or there in Butler County, and then from there they go on to distribution. So when you think about the mission that the General Assembly have charged us with of diversifying, transitioning away from tobacco, Mr. Hunt's going to show you a couple of pie charts. Going to show how tobacco was when we started, before you all invested in these tobacco funds. We were at 25. Our tobacco cash receipts were 25% of that pie chart, and then showing you a Dr. Will Snell pie chart today, less than 4%. So this fits in with, again, the mission that you've charged us with of transitioning from tobacco and diversifying into other enterprises. All right, if no questions on that, I'll go to the next page, it'll be 22. And we'll talk about the Kentucky Highlands Investment Corporation. So they were approved for $250,000 in state funds, what they call recapitalize the Kentucky Highlands SOAR Small Farm Loan Fund. So this will bring them to a total of $1,250,000 that has been invested by the Ag Development Board since 2015. So if you're not familiar with the Kentucky Highlands Investment Corporation, they've been in the economic development business with a headquarters in over 50 years in London, Laurel County. So their footprint is mostly 8 counties. When they approached us about establishing this small-scale loan program, we asked them to expand beyond 8 counties and include the whole Appalachia region, which we all know is 54 counties. Also at that time, there was a SOAR initiative, Shaping Our Appalachia Region. So we thought it was a good time to look at identifying this program or establishing this program as the SOAR Small Farm Loan Fund Program. And to date, they have approved over 342 loans in 51 of those 54 counties and revolve that money back, where they've done over $2.5 million in loan. They target small scale and somewhat limited resource farmers in those areas. These are 7,500 micro loans at 1% interest only the first year, and then they term it out over 5 years. They do take collateral on the loan. It can be for livestock, it can be vehicles, tractor, or truck, as a way to collateralize. So they all are collateralized. I think they've had 4 write-offs, Senator Deneen, in the 340 plus loans they've been able to provide. And from time to time, the agriculture community, General Assembly, and the Oversight Committee ask us, what are we doing for the small-scale, limited resource farmers? This is one example, plus a whole list that we've mentioned in the past, from Grow Appalachia, the KSU Small Scale Grant Program. Of course, University of Kentucky is all-inclusive in their extension program in every county. Community Farm Alliance, the Kentucky Beef Network. I know we've got some Kentucky Cattle Association represented. They work with the small farmers as well. So there's a whole list of organizations that the Ag Development Fund has supported, again, to help with this small-scale farmers, especially in eastern Kentucky. All right, if there's no questions, we'll move on to page 23. And this is the Four Rivers Packing LLC. This is 3 farmers in the Callaway County were requested $500,000 of a $1 million project to establish a green bean processing equipment. So again, fits in with the mission we have of diversifying Kentucky agriculture. they have, which is an important part of how do you get the product to market. They are collaborating with an organization called Farmers Alliance out of Florida. It's made up of several producers in Florida that have made connections and relationships with Kroger's and the Walmarts of the world, where they've got those relationships where now farmers working in Kentucky can work with the Farmers Alliance to meet the demands and orders. So this will allow them to start out at 750 acres with 2 of the 3 owners or participants in this program, and they'd like to move and include more farmers in the future and feel like their capacity would be 1,700 acres as mentioned in the narrative. Now, again, the way the committee and the Ag Development Board looked at this project was they liked it. They realized there's startup cost to any type of project like that, so they were willing to commit $100,000 in state money as a grant, and then any county money up to $150,000 as a grant, and then also offered a $250,000 participation loan working with their lender. And of course, we've mentioned in the past our interest rates since we started doing participation loan has been 2.75. Really attractive right now, Representative King, when we know interest rates are 7 and 8, 9%. And they're working with F&B Bank. The loan officer is Lori Knoll. We've worked with her on the ag finance side for the last 15 years. So it was good to see her providing the underwriting of this application and also be willing to be the participating lender on the project. So that's the 3 that me and Ted, aka Brandon, picked out for you to review today. We'll be glad to answer any questions about any of the other projects in the packet.
Do we have any questions? Bill, on this last one you just discussed right here, what are we looking at acreage-wise that an individual farmer would be raising these type of beans?
How many acres they might be
Right.
raising? Well, I think that's yet to be determined, Brandon. Well, 1,700 would be the total acreage, I think, is the capacity. They think with this equipment they're purchasing, and then they could add to it. These are big-scale, large-scale farmers that are going between 2 of them are going to do 750 acres. I would think that any other producers that may try to start into this business might be on a smaller scale, because there can be a huge learning curve on the produce side of it. Okay. So they didn't identify in the application what the expectations are of any producer or farmer that may be coming online here in the future.
Senator Boswell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I had a question regarding, this facility will handle up to 1,700 acres, and this sounds like a great idea. What do you anticipate the revenue would be for a farmer when he grows that acre of green beans? I mean, they kind of know what it's corn and soybeans and wheat and other things like that. What do you estimate the acreage revenue could be per acre on green beans?
I mean, I think it'd be comparable. I mean, obviously, if you're gonna look at substituting this type of enterprise with your traditional agriculture, it's got to be comparable. But we can look at getting some more details on that for you.
Well, again, I think it's a great idea. I think probably in the future, I'm hoping that this would be something that we've said, hey, this was a great investment, because we kind of know already what these other things do. And I guess most of this stuff probably has to be mechanically picked. Yeah, you can't hand pick green beans, I don't think.
They did mention their application. They're going to have specialized equipment from the individuals who are part of this. So I would see them going out and contracting for other farmers that might want to be part of this, because it may be a cost of a barrier to entry to be purchasing a piece of equipment if you're going to be a small acreage type of grower.
And my last question, you may not know, is the type of soils that are required with green beans, are they comparable with what we have here? Is it just particular areas of the state that will accommodate the growth of green beans?
Senator Boswell, we're not extension agents, but we give the money out. So you're getting into the science of it there.
Well, and I think these are established farmers, so I think they've done their research. And our good friend Al's gotten into the produce side. Matter of fact, he's working with a family in London, Laurel County, that's also was funded with ag development funds, also working with Farmers Alliance. So I think Al will tell you there's a huge learning curve on the produce side anytime you're looking at a new enterprise.
Yeah, I'll look forward to hearing more about.
Absolutely. We'll get, I got you 2 questions down. We'll get back with you, and I'll email you those results for that. And this is one of those projects that probably not this coming year's annual report, but the next year's annual report, this is probably one of those projects where it'll probably have the likelihood of making the annual report, and we'll get to see the fruits of our labor. So.
And Senator, I also think that our next presenter is going to be an individual that will eventually have a lot of information on something like this because of his background in retail agriculture. So that will be someone who will become familiar with what the possibilities with this will be. Representative McPherson.
Yes, I appreciate what you're saying, and like you say, in our area, Al Pettigo, and then our Amish Mennonite population down there in Allen County have been fruit and vegetables. We're the leading in the state here. But what I'm seeing as far as soils and things is anything that would grow tobacco, grow corn, will grow these fruit and vegetables pretty similar. They're just your cation exchange capacity and all that good stuff is all about it. And you'll see a lot of these fields that they were using. Maybe we have a rotation of tobacco one year, and then you'll go back and see them in vegetables. And I'm seeing a lot of squash, seeing cucumbers, peppers, different things. I think what I'm hearing is the big challenge is to make sure they're all number ones, or if you don't get number ones, what you do with your number twos, just to have no waste. You're going to have to sell every bit of it, and reefer trucks and keeping them cool and getting them to market on time so that they have those number ones. And so it is just a big challenge, and but I think we're making that jump, and it's exciting to see that 20 years later we're still developing new markets. So I really appreciate what you're doing and the monies that you're putting out. I think if any of us would have envisioned, so my hair's a lot grayer than yours is now, but if we'd ever envisioned what we've got 20 years from when we started, I think we would be very pleased to be here, and I appreciate all your all's effort in what we're doing to do that.
Mr. Chairman, thank you all so much. Just want to remind everyone that we do have a Finance Corporation meeting tomorrow, and then we have our Agricultural Development Board meeting next Friday. If anybody wants to attend, you're more than welcome.
Do we have any additional questions? Thank you, Director. Another great job on the presentation from you and Bill both.
And we will provide lunch if you come to the board meetings.
Thank you.
Right, Kelly?
Ladies and gentlemen, now that we do have a quorum, we'll move to our minutes. Can I have a motion on minutes? We have a motion and a second. Those in favor, say aye. No opposed. Minutes pass. Ladies and gentlemen, our next presenter is someone I've had great anticipation of coming here and meeting before our committee. Over Memorial Day weekend, on Saturday morning of Memorial Day weekend, excuse me, I was sitting on my deck having a cup of coffee, and I was reflecting back on where I was 40 years ago. And as we grow more mature in age, we tend to find ourselves reflecting back on where we were in the past. And 40 years ago today, I was working for an ag retailer in North Christian County in a little town called Crofton, Kentucky, for a company called Agrichem. And my experience of working in the ag retail business, well, let me begin with this. Never once at that age, and I was 23 years old, did the thought ever cross my mind that I would be serving here in Frankfort, working on behalf of the citizens of Kentucky, sitting at this seat as the chair of this committee. And I'm sure the gentleman who's going to present never would have thought that either, but I want him to know, as he comes to the desk, he is one of the individuals who, watching what he has done in life, he was someone who it allowed and created in me a belief to strive to move forward. And I owe him tremendously, along with a lot of other people there in Christian County. It's a place that we're all proud to call home. But now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll ask Mr. Wayne Hunt to please come to the desk, and I think you're all going to enjoy this presentation that he's about to give us.
He graduated from high school with my daughter, and she wanted to vote for him, not in his region. So he's a great guy, and I always thought he had possibilities. I'm not sure I thought he'd be where he is now. He's a great guy. That's yours. Get your mic in there, too. I'm like an old guys. One or two things, they either get emotional or they kind of get rough around the edges. I might have a little of both, but I got to get my stuff kind of laid out just like it impacted my life, and that's what you see in front of me is something that's kind of been with me ever since the first meeting of the Ag Development Board in Princeton, Kentucky in 2000, July 19. And it has an order, I think, that just has to be kept in order for what it's like for me, because it's the way we started. And then oversight committees, at that point in time, we didn't have one. I don't want to tell you how come, but I don't think y'all get along well enough to get together. But back in those early days, it's part Democrat, part Republican. You don't know how many times we sat in that little building down at the bottom of the hill and said, I wish we could talk to him. I wish we could ask him some questions. What did you mean? Right here on House Bill 611. But my 2 cents worth, my name is Wayne Hunt. I'm 81 years old. I had to think back and think, how old was I when I started this venture? 57 years old. When Paul Patton put me on this board. And I went to the first meeting, and we had notes and things like that. Paul Patton was a pretty strong leader at that point in time. And then there was another guy there that was really, really strong in this, and that's Sam Moore. He was president of Farm Bureau. I mean, he was on the board. He was a valuable asset because he understood how they did some things and what the intentions were and things like that. And he was a valuable asset when he was on this board. He was livestock and I was grain. We could share. But I got to get my stuff kind of laid out here. How we going to do this? That's your stuff. I got mine. Huh? I renumbered mine last night. You're not gonna like that. I think you've got what I need. Don't worry about that. This is the first document for me. I'm gonna lay it right here, and this is just what I'm all about. This is the board meeting, but the board meeting was after the fact of the best piece of legislation that was ever passed. I think that's House Bill 611. This is my original copy. It's 50 pages, double pages. Every one of them tabs and stuff meant something to me. Probably a question, because it did a great job of telling about what you wanted to do, but it had no infrastructure. It didn't tell you how to distribute the money. It didn't tell you anything like that. It's a great document. Some great people put it together, knew what they were looking for. Tobacco is all about tobacco. What's going to happen when we lose our biggest money crop in the state? What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? That's what this whole thing was about. But this one's important to me. I think I had it in a rainy day. Maybe it's kind of wrinkled up, but this is not far from me from any board meeting I go to today. I hate to say it, because this is the Magna Carta. This is this is whatever you want to call it. This is what it was all about. And I'm going to get to the main document in just a minute. Said this is what we had to do to get this fund started, and it was not easy. but we had good people on that board. It was some good ag people. Sam Moore, there was 14 farmers on here at this point in time. I'm gonna read, you may know some of them if I read them off to you. Of course, Paul Patton, Billy Ray Smith. I was close to Billy Ray. I was on a lot of committees with him. We had money, we distributed money and stuff like that, but sometimes we distributed money, but we could sit down and make the plan. This is the only thing I've ever seen where we could make a plan that had money enough to implement your plan. We made a lot of plans for Kentucky, but how are we going to implement them? Wheat people did, corn people did. We couldn't do it. We didn't have the money. This fund had money. One of the last paragraphs in there, Paul Patton handed us $68 million to distribute, day one. And I sat down and wrote on mine. Never sat on anything like this before. Going to be interested. But anyway, that's all for here. House Bill 611 was wrote, and this was following through with it. And then I think House Bill 611, I don't think it ever had to be corrected. We had it. I wish I would have had a copy because I got a whole lot of highlights in there. Like, I'm not sure about this, but I think this is what we're supposed to be doing. But this was number 2. But really, this little book was a Magna Carta for the whole thing was all said and done. John Mark Hack was our new head, great guy, young guy. One other thing may not leave out here. This guy sitting next to me only got one. I've only got 1 year on him. He was the second year with it. He's been there, but he's a resource. I'm telling you that you never want to overlook. He's the best at training young people and get them in the groove and making something out of them. And we can't keep them in him because somebody's stealing them all the time, going somewhere else. But he does a great job of training. But he was with us, and so he's pretty familiar with what I call the Magna Carta. But we sat down after a little training. We went through a little training of how to be a board member, about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and we wouldn't get much done at that time. Sam and I were a little nervous about, because every time we met, what happened? People come and said, "They're giving away the money." We ain't even got an application in. Little did they know we didn't have any applications either. We had to make applications. We had to do that whole piece for this thing. So we sat down and found that the first thing you do when you're faced with what we were faced with is inventory your assets. What's the assets Kentucky has, what we can develop or try to develop? What can we make something out of? And then how far can we go and how much money can we do? This is probably one of the most detailed documents. We've got it together, but no way would I sit down in front of you and not share a little of it with you. All the good words in the front, that's great. But when we get back to the assets, and I think there's a picture in your present. This front table of contents covers about everything. That top 15 or 20 got all the stuff in it. But I'm going to have to share some of it with you because it's just we looked out and said, okay, what's the number one thing in Kentucky today we've got to do? It was livestock. We're a livestock state. We're the most livestock east of the Mississippi River, and I think at that point in time it averaged 13 head to the farm to whatever the average was. They get to a very small number, but we're the largest group. What we have to try to get the livestock industry up and going in the state, because the graphs we had is how it's going this way. We have to stop that, and one of the main things that come off this book was that very front bottom investment philosophy. If you hadn't read this book, you read that page, because this is what drives it, period, for the whole thing. I got to read it to you. It's pretty simple. It says the Kentucky Agriculture Development Board will invest monies from the Kentucky Agriculture Department Fund in innovative proposals that increase net farm income, affect tobacco farmers, tobacco impacted communities, agriculture across the state through stimulating markets for Kentucky agricultural products, finding new ways to add value to Kentucky agricultural products, and exploring new opportunities for Kentucky farms and farm products. The Magna Carta, that's the whole thing that drives the whole thing. Markets, just what you're talking about a little bit ago. Can you sell them green beans? We can grow them. I'll bet money we can grow them green beans. Because green beans was on our plate about the first 2 or 3 meetings we had, because we had them growing in the west and growing in the east. And me and Billy Joe Miles made a comment, if we could just get all them green beans together in one place and get them distributed, we'd be kings. But we got to get them out of there. We realized pretty quick a farmer couldn't back up to one of the hospitals in Louisville and unload his truckload of green beans he picked in the back of his pickup. Just don't work like that. but getting them together and getting them consolidated. Farmers have tremendous power together if they can get together. And then it's tough because Paul Patton mentioned co-ops. We have to have co-ops. I think we took that to heart. We had co-ops about everything we had, but a lot of them didn't make it because they had one simple problem. If you want to sit on that board at co-op, you got to take your farmer's hat off and put your business hat on. And if you got to go back over here and look from your farmer's side, but you can't take that with you because some of them, I'll never forget some of the explanations of why some things were failing. And said, well, our farmers just can't afford to sell their stuff for the price they want to give for it. Well, if you're doing that, what happened, the way we recognize they'd be coming back every year wanting to operate money. Wait a minute, now we give you grant money up front here. You got to generate your operating money here somehow or another after 2 or 3 times. You realize what the issue was is that mentality when you go, that's tough. It's tough for a farmer to set and judge his business like that, but it's a have-to case in a co-op. Anyway, that the livestock business was number one, and Sam Moore was a livestock guy. It's a blessing to be on there. We've changed genetics. We've done everything we could, but I'll sit here and tell you, and it's a young lady behind me here, what we have not done a good job of is create markets for the livestock industry. We've had opportunities, blew them. I don't want to even talk about that, but we have to, today, we still look for market, how we're going to change the market on the livestock industry. Next, number two was grains. We addressed grains. I actually drew a hand-drawn map and took it to the legislature. Said grains is in the west, livestock's in the center here, and timber's in the east. That's 3 of the main things we got. We got some more stuff, but that's 3 of the main ones we got. Grains were second. Tobacco was third. Tobacco still raised. Tobacco still raised now. Not much. That green bean industry, I happen to know a little about that, is driven by loss of tobacco, dark tobacco acreage now. Dark tobacco acreage going away. Not going to be any. They're looking for something to take the place of that dark tobacco in Crittenden County. And I expect they know what they're talking about, or they wouldn't be wanting to raise them green beans. More like I haven't seen much about it. I've seen what Bill was talking about here, but now it will be a project that we have to look at and see is it going to work, and do the things we're talking about here now. Let's see. Did you say 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Yes, sir.
Huh? 10 minutes? No, I mean, I'm not good. I'm on the first book. I'm not good.
Take
Anyway,
your time.
all that on your table right there is in this green book right here, and it's a Magna Carta of the Constitution, whatever you want to say from me. I carry it with me all the time. As you can tell, I know what's in it pretty much everywhere too. It don't care what. We had to do this in 6 months. We had to have this to the legislature in 6 months. So we devoted a lot of time to it. I drove 15,000 miles. I am 46 miles round trip to Frankfurt and back home. But we had to have this there. And then we had to follow it up with another called long term. This is the Kentucky near term. We had to have a long term one back here. It's quite similar, smaller books and stuff like that, but we had all this in touch on time. Then we had some other things. I think I'm gonna get on your thing here now. This was last night at the supper table. I changed a few things. I wasn't satisfied with how it was going, but I got your PowerPoint. Something's on your screen right now. This is where we were, and this is interesting. I'm gonna get chronologically. I'm gonna kill this presentation in just a minute, but just out of order. But this was 2000. Basically, tobacco is 24% of the net cash in the state here. 24%. That's a big sum. Corn was 8%. Cattle was 19%. Where it is here now, it was 19% of the income. A lot of people doing the right thing in the livestock business, but a lot of people didn't know what the right thing was in the livestock business. I think they're coming along. I think we've done a lot of things. We put $200 million in large animal stuff. I think we've made a lot of changes in it. We just on the edge of a big breakout. We just need to do somehow or another. But anyway, this thing right here says 1918. That's too quick. Put me back on the other one here. We got to look back here, 19 cattle, 5% poultry, 17% horses. Frank Penn's proud of that. And then 12% other, dairy, soybeans, corn, and see what you see. Now let's look at 23. This is our report card. This is the Ag Development Board's report card, I call it. I don't care what. Will Snell's back in there somewhere behind you. I keep everything he gives me and stuff like that, but this is where we are today in 23. Now you take a look at tobacco at 24 and then right across the page at poultry at 20.7. We had to replace tobacco income. There's 20.7, and if you look down at the bottom here, tobacco still 2.8. You add them together, I think we got that money taken care of in that cash and tobacco in the state here. Now we get another cut in dark tobacco. I don't know what that impact that's going to have, but if we could do right behind it, this fund could do right behind it, we can take the place out. We can make that run and not miss a beat. But we can look at what poultry is 20.7, cattle is 16.5, but I don't really think cattle's going to, I think they've gotten better. I think we got a lot of bulls, we changed a lot of bulls, we changed genetics, we changed practices. You can feed cattle in Kentucky. Back in the early days, you can't feed cattle in Kentucky. It's too wet, mud, and all that stuff. I've seen them standing knee-deep in snow. I bet they'd just soon be standing knee-deep in mud, maybe. But UK's got pack barns out today. We got pack barns where you can go stand in the middle of 300 head. They're never going to get out of there till they go to the slaughterhouse. They weigh in at 400 or 500 pounds, come out at 1,800. And I know for a fact some of them got a record today. Some of that meat goes to California, and some is on the menu in a restaurant in Detroit because a customer brought them back to them. So we can penetrate the market if we can just get ourselves together. But cattle 6.5, soybeans went to 15.9. But what is soybean? We got one of the major processing facilities in the state of Kentucky. That's on per grain. And we actually funded them some because what did they do? They wanted to make biodiesel. Well, what they did was make human salad dressing on one side and biodiesel on the other, and whichever one made the most money, they could make either one out of that soybean oil. Major, but so soybeans great. Corn, 14.5%. Corn went up. We raised corn all across the state today. That's the difference. What I really hate to see is you turn your grass down under and raise corn or something like that when you the best grass, best tobacco ground in the world was where it was. But unfortunately, that's what money and change does. But all these little side things down here, that's listed in this book as opportunities. We had 26 opportunities we identified in this green book. That I've actually eaten paw ice cream at Kentucky State. We can do some things with some things that's raised in this state today that probably not getting a fair shot or may need help to get bigger. Remember, when this thing started, I said we funded a lot of dreams and a few good programs. It was a high-risk fund. Plainly said a high-risk fund, but we don't want to lose the money. We want to keep the money working if we can. No question, everything didn't work, but some did. We got a little dither when we got out here and got to distribute the money. We had health strategies. Kentucky Ag Finance Corporation. I happen to be the one that's on both. And then it's a product of Ag Development. Ag Development owns Kentucky Ag Finance. That's where the money comes from. No ifs and about it. But we got into making some grants and stuff like that. And all of a sudden they needed to borrow some money. You're going to lose your grant money. What are we going to do? We actually made some loans a little early. And I can remember sitting around the table and said, what are we doing? We don't have a collect. Who's going to collect? We got to have somebody collect these loans and looks after this loan business we've got here. We can't just loan money off here and not keep track of it and that sort of thing. So welcome home, Kentucky Ag Finance Corporation. We tried to find a bank we could use. We had some really, really good government people that helped us a lot. We finally made our own bank. The only thing I had to do was I was on both was testify to a senator in there called Williams. We got along real good, ironically, but he had to approve that bank. Senator Williams did. He was head of the Senate. He had to approve that bank, and he did it too. So we started a bank, put $20 million in that bank. I'm maybe getting ahead. Would you catch up? You know me too well. We had to put $20 million in that bank to get it started. So we put our $20 million in the bank. Interesting. We got a lot of fun in this thing to go along here. We put it in September. That was election year. And we had a governor's election. I won't call him names. The young man won. He was a Republican. My money didn't get there. There's a thing in Frankfurt here. There's a no man's land out there where your money gets in. I can tell you that. We kept September, October, November. Our bank balance didn't change any. We put our $20 million in. Finally, Richie Farmer was the commissioner of agriculture. One December Saturday afternoon, he called me and said, "When you got to come back up here?" I said, "The governor's taking our money." That's a fear we had, because the governor could take the money. He could take this fund if he wanted to at that point in time. He's taking our money. I can't believe we talked to him. I don't think so. But I'll be there Monday morning. Me, Billy Joe Miles, Sam Moore, the young man is behind Sam in Farm Bureau, and Richie met with the governor. And Billy Joe said, "You do the talking, Wayne." I'll never forget. I said, "Governor, I don't have my big book, but I got our 7th anniversary. This one right here. This book right here is our 7 to 4 is our 2001 to 2007 analysis. Best one we ever had. I had a favorite page in it that I always used of every governor. We took it to every governor. So now you're gonna keep this, because it said we've got a return of $3.14 for every dollar we invested. I took that page, marked it, and took it and laid it down in the governor's lap. Said, "Now, this is the money you're over here. This is Ag Development Fund. But now we were worried about you going to take it." I said, "Why would I want to take that? We're not getting any return on our money in Frankfurt up here. So you don't have to worry about that." And every governor that appointed me saw this same book, that same page mark. I said, "Right here, this is where we are," because that's what we were doing it to now. We got return on our money, and kept the money going as best we could. Well, the bank's got to get approved. Just give it official name, the agreement regarding the creation of the Kentucky Agriculture Investment Trust. That's where the bank was based. That was the birth of the Ag Finance Corporation. And it was another division. It has a board. It's half bankers and half farmers. I said farmers on one side and bankers on the other. The only thing we're on the other side for to be sure he gets the best deal he can get. And the bankers, then on the other side, we need expertise. So we need to be sure we get these loans back if we can, because the first thing, I think I got a distribution, that's it right there. I really like your work. That's how you can read mine. The farmer's first in this thing, and then he has to have a primary lender. He doesn't have to. Ag Development Board make loans if they want to. The good part about it, if they make loans, we like to have them send the money with the loans. What happens then? When they pay the loans back, the money stays in Ag Finance, we're building the bank. But now, this is the farmer, got his bank, back up just a minute, let me see that other, I won't be sure, I'll miss it. Primary lenders is key. We had a hard time getting this money out and working when we started, because banks just wasn't interested in it. We had to take a young man and put him on the road selling this program to banks to get them to use the money. But when they did, they understood, because primary lender, the next thing under the Ag Finance Corporation is a 2 3/4 interest rate. 7.75 goes to them, and 2 is the interest, and that can be a $250,000 piece of something that helped that guy's down payment. So we got a cheap down payment. That's 2. We're in second, and then we turn around and the bank takes it to FSA and gets long-term low interest. A young man can buy a piece of ground today. An older guy can too if he wants to. I have a bad terminology on this about the beginning young farmer. It's not the beginning young farmer. It's the beginning farmer loan. I said young. It's for anybody who wants to start beginning farming. But this is how it works. We haven't lost any money. We're pretty secure here, this money. And we got good. We can take that money and lower that interest rate from that primary banker probably 2 to 3 points today, according on how big the loan is. So we got limits. We put limits on how much it can be. We don't want, sometimes we got the person qualified. We don't have a lot of limits. His net worth might be 2 or 3 million, and he still get in this fund. But we haven't found a successful way to control that too much. Net worth doesn't necessarily mean he's got cash. Doesn't necessarily mean he's got something he can pay down on a farm or something like that. He got assets maybe. This is what's happened to it. Ag Finance loan portfolio, infrastructure is $41 million. You got it. Infrastructure is $41 million. The processing is 30 million. Beginning farmer is 136 million. I think you're going to see in a minute it's about 1,450 loans. It's the biggest. That's what it was created for, to help people start in agriculture. They can buy a piece of ground and pasture the cows on it. Then you can buy more ground if it get to it. They can start. And the rest of it down here is diversification, large food animal, 1.6 million. This is how it's been distributed. We got these categories that we fit them in as they come in. All right, I'll go with you. Loan portfolio enterprises. This so beef is 39, right at 40 million. Dairy is 6 million. Equine almost 4 million. Grains 39 million. Horticulture, we got some of it all. This is where it goes. Now you can see poultry. We grew poultry because we had to. It was a really, really good answer to the tobacco situation. Individual poultry house on farms. Wives can do the poultry houses they want to. Not as much money as tobacco, but some of them got more than one poultry house and things like that. A lot of people thought it wouldn't work. What we see today is the farmer's retiring and he's either selling it to his son or he's selling it a piece of ground to somebody else. The companies are coming in and helping rebuild those poultry houses and are not losing their poultry business. Some of them are actually getting out of the raising the food poultry and going into the egg business now. So that industry has been a blessing to us, really. And then the beef, of course, and then we look down to the grain. All right, I'm with you. Maybe I'm with you. The next one it was project number 1. This is a co-op in Christian County, Hopkinsville Elevator Company. I was 26 years old when I put my $1,500 in it. A group of farmers got together and said, we had a lot of little elevators and farm matter was getting pretty big. They wanted to grade their own grain. That's what started Hopkinsville Elevator. 6, 7 farmers put about $7,000 a piece in and bought a little elevator, had 2 grain bins. It was the biggest elevator in town, but it's a little elevator today. Bought that grain bin, and then they put this co-op out and said, you can join the co-op, $100 a share. Maximum you can have in it is $1,500. One share, $100. You get all the benefits, whatever it is. It started in 1967, 68. I was selling fertilizer across the railroad tracks for W.R. Grayson Company, the 8th largest corporation in the world. I hated it. Because every year they got a new owner, we had to start over. So I left and started a fertilizer company of my own. Now, this is a story of a 50-year. When we got the 2002 corn was $2 a bushel. We simply got in a room and said, we're not going to make it. We're going to go broke with $2 corn. We have to get up this ladder. We have to go up a shelf somehow or another and get closer to the market. All that rumors out there, I don't know whether it's true or not, always been in my life, said, well, if you buy a loaf of bread, the wrapper got more money out of that bread than the guy's wheat in it. More money in the wrapper than it was the wheat made that loaf of bread. So we decided when we sat there, I'm not on their board, never been on their board. I think they're afraid of my on the elevator. They wouldn't let me on their board, but whatever. Yeah, it's a good run organization. It's got 9 members, 3 of them elected every year, 3 of them elected every year. If you're not doing a good job, it's kind of like politics. If you're not doing a good job, you can put him off here, it's not suiting you. Their philosophy was typical co-op, not at all. They returned their earnings back to the stockholder, and it would give you 40% of it and keep 60% to operate on or whatever they had to do. They don't make much money. Big grain systems don't make much money. They make some. I've seen them make $500,000. They made $900,000 one year, but now this thing progressed, and when the tobacco money came out, we decided we're gonna build an ethanol plant. That's the only thing we could find. Ethanol was pretty popular. Oil companies were having trouble with the additives that was putting the lead in it, cancer agent maybe. Well, let's build an ethanol plant. Wasn't easy in Kentucky because Kentucky had an ethanol plant early on. Chevron helped them, but they couldn't get the water out of the ethanol. Technology changed all that. So we put everything together. They mortgaged everything they had. They had 7 elevators and mortgaged everything they had, and came up and said, we got to make an application. They made a $6 million grant application. We were getting money in by the almost $100 million a year. That we had money, a lot of money. A $6 million application took 2 years to get it funded. Finally, the Ag Development Board funded that, and they went in and hired a individual from ADM was at vice president level, because we didn't know anything about building an ethanol plant. Ethanol plant's built wrong or terrible. They don't make it. So we hired an individual to run that to build it, help build it and run it. It was not a popular project with all the members either, but it was a decision had to be made, like it or not. We were not going to make it on $2 corn. A lot of the older people thought we might lose the elevator. We could have probably too, but bottom line, good Lord blesses them and try, I think. We didn't lose the elevator. Actually, we got in, well, probably the first paid for ethanol plant in the country. Everything we made, they put in that. I'm on the board of the ethanol plant, not the elevator. What we did is create an LLC. We toured a lot. A lot of the ethanol plants where a group of farmers got together and then bought their neighbor's corn and processed it, and they kept the ethanol money. That group of farmers that owned it made the ethanol. But we didn't want that. We wanted everybody to participate as a member of that co-op. So we created an LLC, owns the ethanol plant, and of course, its earnings, whatever roll over to the elevator, they distribute their money. Everybody that sold yellow corn got part of the money. If you sold a bushel, it's by the bushel you sold. If we returned 59 cents a bushel, I've seen return almost $1 a bushel. If you had 100 bushels, you got it. If you got 10,000 bushels, all by the bushel. How much business? If you didn't do business with them, you didn't get any of that money. It was as fair as could be across the board. I'll never forget sitting at the table with some of them older guys at the first time I distributed money, and we distributed right at $30 million cash to farmers that night. And one of them old guys opened that envelope up and said, "Where in the hell did this money come from?" From there, it's been pretty easy. Today, they have returned $300 million cash back to the farmer in 20 years. That's the power farmers can do if you can get them together and get them to market their product, join together. They have power. We try, but sometimes it's hard to get done. This group realizes where they are today. They own a fertilizer company, they own an insurance company, they own the elevator, and they own the ethanol plant. Anhydrous was high last year, but they got a pretty nice check back from their fertilizer company. Reduced the price of their anhydrous. It's straight across the board. Okay, this is what co-ops can do. That's our main point. This was number one project too, and it's one other thing. They run out of money. I'm sorry, they run out of money. Got down. We had money from Mississippi River Delta. We got money everywhere. We couldn't run out of money. And they asked, could we get any more money out of the Ag Development Fund? I said, I wouldn't even ask. I really thought you. But they did do what? Went to the loan to the bank and then loaned them $3 million and paid it back in a short amount of time and got it finished, which kind of to a deliver. We're $3 million short and it's almost finished. But this fund has done a lot of things in a lot of places, and the state has got a lot of benefits from it. This is a fund built. We thought we were going to have $600 million. When we started talking in terms of $600 million, we've done $700-something million so far. Where is life? Where is processing? Where is the livestock industry? So we finally decided, let's try something. Let's lay $1 million out there and see if you couldn't get your calf killed. There is a map on here that says this group right here kind of bought one and redone one that had gone down some, made something out of it. This map was out there. Department of Agriculture had it. It's 32 companies out there that's processing around the state at this point in time. All of them wasn't USDA inspected, all those kind of things. So let's put some money out there and see maybe if they want to grow there, maybe they can get bigger. Those dots, that's my map, those dots happen to be the ones that are bigger, have gotten bigger at this point in time. There's about 15 or 16 out there like it today. That red dot is a place called Creation Gardens in Louisville that distributes to restaurants. They actually hooked with the Beef Association, and Beef has a kind of a pilot project, slaughter facility called Beef Solutions. Maybe can grow, maybe can do more, and they help them market, help them sell some of their stuff, things like that. Now we're down to this point. This is what they are today. This is current, and this is a little on the bottom. the USDA in progress, because where we put money for, we want to get USDA at least. And then USDA is a dark spot. The next one, the GFSI, if you don't have that, you can't sell to Kroger's, you can't sell to anything like that. You got to have it, and that's a hard one to get, and it's expensive. I think we've got 2 in here in the state today. We've got it. We've got some more. We're going to try to get it. But now, what I hope you see right here, and this is just me, how can we draw this together and make our own processing facility in the state here, that they can work together? We don't want to damage what they're doing. They got their own kind of market where they are. If they're doing great, that's great. They don't have to sell to it, but use our own processing facilities to a window process that can be Kentucky Proud Beef Processing, whatever it is. But just another dream for Wayne. I don't have any cows. I'm gonna eat mine up. That's about it for the ag development. What I've seen in my 24 years, I think we've run up here and we've done a lot of good things. I think we're in the process today. Said, what do we do? Can we help some of them that are out here that are doing good? Keep going? Do we find new areas? We know where we need to do some things. We know where we got assets. And one other thing, what he touched on, that co-op that's in eastern Kentucky, I tell you, if you want to see how well off you are, you look through that project and see what 5 cows might do. One of them little boys was, when they were in the office one day when he called about selling one of his 4 cows that he had been able to get together. They had loaned him some money to do that. Very, very small greenhouses. I'm telling you, for something like that, whatever we can do, just worth the money. I think that's about it for me. I got anything left on your sheet? No, yeah, right here. This is people. This is the best group of people you'll ever find. I think you saw a picture of them a minute ago. We always have this. Bill McCloskey is the best at recruiting. I don't care what. I don't know where you get these people. But now, this is the group that makes it all happen. We don't work up there all week, stuff like that. You get that package. My package for tomorrow is 575 pages for the ag finance tomorrow. It was 600 last month. And he did, so we run through 4 or 5 million. That's one of the situations we got today. How much money we divide here between ag development and ag finance? What do we do on that? We actually looked once at how we could borrow money, but we can't do much borrowing money. Borrowing money is not practical too far anywhere you look at today, even prime rates. But this group of people right here drives this whole thing. And for me, it's been a good run for me. I mean, I've been pretty blessed in my life. This one's been worth your time, I think. And I always said when my time comes up to do whatever you want to do, I can go home and do whatever you want to do. And I've been appointed by every governor, as long as the governor had to say so. And by Ryan, I don't know what this young man's going to do. He's a renegade we got now, I'm not sure. But we got a really, really good prospect in the Commissioner of Agriculture today. He wants to do things. Economic development might be his thing. He's kind of strong on that. We always thought we ought to have some economic development. And we definitely need economic development, and economic development needs to understand agriculture. I don't think they do that. The slaughtering cow to come here, it was going to wind up in Christian County. How in the world was going to wind up in Christian County? That's where I live. I just finally told, I did not know, as well as I know people, I did not know they were going to select Christian County till the day they came to town. And a deacon in my church was head of economic development and said, I'll give you 10 minutes for this group, Wayne, if you want to talk to them. I said, I'll take my 10 minutes. And got with them. It was a perfect situation. How much they going to kill? 200 head, 2,000 head a week, something like a day. I can't remember what fit us perfect. They told us, Wayne, we'll give you half a day to show us the market. I said, I can't show you the market in half a day. I can't even get to the market in a half a day. But I think we got together and flew in. 21 people met with them, but it was so mishandled getting there. I don't think anybody in the state really wanted them there. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. One of the questions I asked when they first met with them, do you really want a slaughter facility in your town? It didn't bother me any because, first thing I did, they offered me a seat on their plane. I said, I don't want any seat on my plane of my own. I'm going up there and look at it. I'm going and look at their facility they got and let me see what it is. I went to Racine. I'll never forget it. I met economic development there, and they said, we don't know about this, Wayne, you go on through this, I'm going to the knock box to the back. I want to see everything you do. No odor. It was, it was a slaughterhouse odor, but it wasn't a bad odor. But the main thing is there's a street with houses right across the street from it. I got out there and walked up and down that street and no odor. I didn't know it wasn't always through it yet. We got back in the building and walked, and then about another little street where we're walking down some aisles there, here's a stockyard inside, no dust, no flies, and had 1,400 head of fat cattle in it they were killing that day. And it went in this end and come out the other end in a box, ready to go. That's all you seen. You didn't see anything else. I left there with one thing. We didn't get it, but they promised me they'd buy Kentucky. And we do know what they look for when they come to the state. We had 2 million gallon water source on 300 acres. They didn't care. They promised it. You won't see a single. They tell you you won't see a single cow outside this place. Even Myron, the representative, didn't know they were coming. That's pitiful. I don't know it was the best place for them. I would have tried to take them somewhere else. I finally asked them, why did you choose here? I said, well, there's Fort Campbell, that's 27,000 people, I think. And there's Clarksville, Tennessee, is 100,000 people. And y'all are just across the road, there's Hopkinsville with 30,000 people. Looks like a pretty good place to live. They were H-2A labor, 1,200 of them. But they had control of them. In their place, they had a guy assigned to them inside. Each one of them had their group. They gave you $10,000 a down payment on your house. They had their own medical facility inside. They didn't have to go anywhere else. Everything was there in just a perfect situation. But at least we get to know what one looks like. I appreciate your time. You guys are special here that you let this fund go where it is. You need to ask questions and stuff like that, but I'm telling you, you got some of the best people working for you can find. And even the new management, I don't know where'd Brandon go?
He slipped out.
I would chastise him for leaving if I was y'all. But we got a new leader here. I think he's going to be great. He came to a lot of Ag Development Board meetings, too. He knew what it was all about. So I'm finished. I don't know how much time I took. Apologize if I'm over time.
You're not overtime. And Wayne, before we've got some questions, and I think it's something very important for all of our committee members to know. There is a reason you have served 24 years on this board, and it's your background and experience. Would you mind telling us what year you started Agrichem, which was a retail ag business there in?
And I'll just give you my history in 2 minutes. I think he's exactly right. Actually, my wife and I have been married 64 years, ever since we got out of high school. We married when we got out of high school. Went to our class reunion Saturday just to see how much I was still living. Had to put 3 classes together. That wasn't enough to talk with. Anyway, my life been pretty simple. When I got out of school, I had to go to work. So I went to work for W.R. Grayson Company, fertilizer company, liquid fertilizer. Got all my agronomy stuff together, and that was pretty good salesman and stuff of that nature. They were the 8th largest corporation in the world, and the heads changed about every year. I got frustrated, said I'm not going to do this anymore. We bought it, and then they came in one day and said, Wayne, we're going to just stay like we are. You might, but I'm going to do something else. I went in the gas and oil business, I owned ash and oil distributorships. But I had fertilizer in my blood, and we worked hard. We worked 6 days. We never were open on Sunday, but we worked hard. That's what Myron is talking about. He didn't have a lot of spare time when he worked for me. But we started a fertilizer company, was $1 million projected company, and wound up to be a $90 million company. It had river terminals and all, and it is. The elevator come in. They had a fertilizer company losing $200,000 or $300,000 a year. They didn't like that, so they wanted to buy Agrichem. I would not sell it. I sold them half of it. Somebody said, why in the world do you sell them half of you? I said, we have co-op. We were the only business out there. I did a lot of talking about how do you get a co-op and an individual work together. It's pretty simple. They had money and we had work ethics. It worked really well, but they finally bought the whole thing. We gave our half to the employees and an ESOP, employee stock ownership. And the elevator cashed it out and put them a 401k to match it. They have built an immaculate facility today, and that all the fertilizer, seed, and all that stuff goes through the elevator today. I don't have anything to do with it. But I did start an implement company In 1990, bought a little store. We couldn't get any service, turf service, but bought a little store doing $3 million a year. It is a $760 million company today. We're number 3 in North America for Case IH, and it's 100% employee owned.
It's something to be very proud of. And once again, I want to thank you for what you did to encourage me. I said one thing I learned from Mr. Hunt: never be afraid to dream, and if you're willing to dedicate yourself to hard work, success is going to follow.
Greatest country in the world to live. I got one saying I leave in my group today: don't forget what made you great. And we have to live by that. I think today we lost our religion and lost our work ethics. We try to get that back. Tough to do, but we're still the greatest place to live in the world.
Wayne, before you leave, we've got a couple of questions. We'll begin.
Oh.
Representative King.
Now you make me listen. Now I know this lady well. Don't ask me nothing complicated.
I have really been looking forward to your visit today. This committee has been previewing and talking about you would be at our June meeting, and you did not disappoint as ever. It was a
Don't know about that.
treasure to have you with us today. For some of our members that are newer to the General Assembly, or maybe even this committee, your point is very well taken that the ag community isn't represented well on economic development decisions here in the state. So in 2022, I sponsored and passed House Bill, I think 390, that adds the ag commissioner in Kentucky into those conversations. So hopefully we weren't able to correct the heartbreaking
You did great.
encounter that you're talking about, but hopefully we can prevent that in the future. So, committee, if you're thinking
I think
we
I
need
lost
to,
my cool talking to you once
well,
about
that's
that.
okay.
Saying
That's
we
all
gotta
right.
have help.
And hopefully that will help in the future. But thank you so much for being here today.
Appreciate you.
Representative Roark.
Thank you. So I think what was beautifully demonstrated today was, of course, that this foresight by all the partners coming together to make House Bill 611 happen in 2000 was truly a testament to that future vision. And I think my question that it's been asked before in this committee, and I think it's worth asking again, have we done this type of investment with any other settlement agreements in the state? Or is it something that we as General Assembly members should always be thinking about when master settlements are coming down from the federal level?
Like opioid.
Like the opioid settlement, yes,
the one that
exactly.
always comes to mind.
That's right. So I know that our tobacco settlement agreement has often been seen as kind of a national model. Do we see other states following this model? And have we thought to follow it here in Kentucky since 2000?
We have stores in 6 states. Tennessee being one of them. We have more stores in Tennessee than we do Kentucky. I know that the commissioner on them pretty good. They have a lot of question of why we didn't do what Kentucky did. They put theirs in the general fund, and it's kind of gone. I went to North Carolina and toured. North Carolina had more money maybe than Kentucky did. They didn't. They kind of did some of the things in a minor way we've done. They did better with shrimp than we did, and they did a few things like that. We didn't realize how to collect them shrimp. They put the tobacco wagons, made tanks out of them, hauled them quick froze, and we were trying to sell them on the bank. But I think those states envy that they did not use their tobacco money. I don't know about the other kind of money, but I can tell you the tobacco money can use help anytime you want to. The bank could grow. We will struggle today to keep the grant fund going and the tobacco and the bank to go at the same level they're going today. We don't get as much grant, but we get bigger ones now. And then I think we have a lot of authority here we didn't have to use. There's a funny story I left out here. Paul Patton schooled us well, but about 5 months into the ag development, Paul Patton brought a $5 million application in for $5 million. He wanted to add a piece to his office, an economic development piece of some kind. They need $5 million to allow us to do it. We turned him down.
Representative Rourke, in terms of the master settlement agreement, there's only 3 states that are committing any of their master settlement agreement to agriculture. And Mr. Hunt referenced North Carolina, and they've established the Golden Leaf Foundation, and they got a tobacco trust in the Department of Agriculture. And then the state of Tennessee has committed some of their money, recently. I'm saying the last 10 years or so. But the rest of the states, 46 states and 5 U.S. territories are part of the master settlement agreement. Other 4 states have their own agreement. But again, only 3 states are committing money to agriculture. The rest of them are using it to balance their budgets and use it to support non-agriculture type projects. And then anti-smoking programs. I think most states are using it for, like Kentucky is too, right? 50% goes to agriculture, 25% to healthcare, childhood development, and healthcare initiatives.
We think it'll go away. No question, it's getting a little smaller now. If it does, it does. We'll have some left. The bank will be left. Questions?
Do we have any additional questions?
That's yours.
Wayne, once again, I want to thank you.
I'm proud of you.
And as you mentioned, long hours. And as I brought up where I was 40 years ago, I remember some springs and summers where I was putting in 80 plus hours a week.
I can't imagine. That's not much time.
But it made me
we got some favorite sayings, though. It made something out of you.
It made me what
made
I
America
am
great.
today.
Thanks very much.
Thank you
for your
very,
time. I
very
appreciate it.
much. Ladies and gentlemen, our next meeting will be July 11th. Same time, same place. And if there is no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn? We are adjourned.